Welcome to the Every Day is a New Day podcast and live show. The inspirational show about moving forward and choosing to be more of you. Transmuting the self-doubt and stepping into courageously aligned confidence in who you uniquely are. My name is Kim O'Neill. I'm a twice certified transformational confidence coach, Reiki master, best-selling author, and former crime analyst who now helps empathic, heart-centered individuals shatter the noise of self-doubt, find clarity on what self-love really looks like, and the courage to be peacefully grounded in who you've always known you are, from the inside out. Join me for the live shows on Facebook and YouTube, and visit KimO'NeillCoaching.com for more info. Let's get to it. All right, and welcome to another Every Day is a New Day show. So happy to be here with you. Do you know what today is? Today is April 1st, another new beginning, another new day. And let me know if you are feeling that, because definitely seeing that happen in all areas of my life and in other people's. And if you're not feeling that new beginning energy, remember, every ending is really also another new beginning. You're right there with us. So happy to have all of our live viewers with us. I see Helene is already with us. Good to see you, Helene, saying hello to both me and today's guest. And let us know what you're taking away throughout today's show. We do have another awesome guest, and I'm going to go ahead and bring her up here in just a moment. So here we have today's awesome guest is, welcome, Andrea Michal.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you here, Andrea, because Andrea and I, we were certified as coaches now a good handful of years ago. I want to say 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
I think it's seven or eight, maybe even.
7 or 8. Yeah. I'd have to check the years on it, but yes. And it's so awesome to reconnect and just, be able to touch on the things that have evolved and shifted over time. And you've been creating a lot of fun things that I'm really excited to share people with. But before we get into that, will you tell everyone just a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm also a transformational coach like you, because like you just said, we went through the same program. I went a little different direction in terms of I actually opened up a wellness center after our coaching program. And I ran that for 5 years. That was called New Moon Wellness. And it was in Agoura Hills, California. And it was a conscious community center. And then I closed it. It wasn't actually so financially viable. It was a great place for the community. And I learned a lot, and the community came together out here. But when I closed it, I decided to start writing books and sharing my stories, sharing my journey, really, to a bigger audience. And so I've written 3 books now, and I know we're going to talk a little bit more about it. That's what I do now.
I love it. I remember even then loving to, we had just finished this evidence-based coaching program, and you opened New Moon Wellness. I freaking love combinations like that. Evidence-based with the new moon and combining them. There's a connection piece. They are not separate. And I love that. Did you have any thoughts about viewing it in that way at the time?
You mean the combination of it? Well, it actually was my coaching office. I had an office in the back it was a kombucha bar, and it was really an educational center. Awesome. And that's my love, is education, especially heart-based education.
I love it. Yes.
And I really opened it up. There was sound healing there. There was kirtan. There was things that people are now doing so much of, but back then, 6 years ago, it was new, especially in this area. And so I was exposing everyone to more conscious living. There were other coaches, there were other, ceremony leaders, there were musicians that would come in and play. And it was just a real uplifting place for the community. So
It sounds like you really were that, a pioneer in bringing in more aspects of who people are so they could be stepping into really, be prepared for the energy that we're in today. And what I think your books speak to, which we'll get to that in a moment. And I would just also like to say you're a transformational leader and coach, and you help women achieve more contentment and confidence in their lives by tapping into their feminine energy. I want to make sure we highlight that so people know that about you.
thank you. Yeah, I used to do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I now really focus on workshops and courses. I love group dynamic work. I like getting people together as a group and sharing all of our stories, not just my story. My books are my story, but I really enjoy when other people share, what they've gone through in their lives, what they're going through at the present moment. And so my group dynamic work really allows people to open up and share themselves with each other. So we know that we're not alone, and we know that we go through, difficulties and challenges in life.
I want to go ahead and bring up your books now, because I think that speaks to, a lot of the work you do and how you support people. So you are the author of a trilogy of books, and I freaking love it because they absolutely are in alignment with the Let Your Light Shine movement. If you haven't joined that yet, definitely do that. I'll put a link up in a moment. But so let me go ahead and just share with you. Your first book was Encounter the Light. And then your second book is Beacon of Light. And now your third book, which is just now launching, is Tribe of Light. And I love this because I know that there's a connection all three of them have. And will you share with us what that connection is between this trilogy of books here?
Yeah. When I started writing, I didn't even realize what was going to happen. It's been a divine experience, to tell you the truth. My first book, Encounter the Light, is more of a memoir. They're all teaching memoirs. So they have my stories, philosophies, questions to ask the reader, so everybody could delve into their own, insights into themselves. So that was more about my existence, my life, and my path, and some of the difficulties and darkness that I went through to come into the light. So that's why it was Encounter the Light. The second book, Beacon of Light, is 14 keys to unlock the light within you. So I went from me to you, even though it's all about all of us learning.
Right.
But it's there's 14 keys, such as courage and love and consistency and boundaries and those kind of topics that help people bring in more light to themselves. And then the third book is We. It's all about community. And this is a really unusual book for me. I collaborated with 8 other women that wrote stories of their healing journeys with community. Community by their side, or how they found community, all different stories and really amazing paths to healing. And it's really a insightful and inspirational book. I love it because it's not just my story, it's all of these women too.
What I love about this trilogy of teaching memoirs that you have is, how fitting is it that you've completed this trilogy now in 2021? What comes to mind for you when you think that? Because, okay, I'm going to first say, because we've been in this whole space of light and dark, light and shadow, right? Merging forward. What comes to mind for you with just the timing of all of this? And
it's funny. It's like, it's perfect timing. And
yeah,
I use the word divine because I really believe God, the universe, the creator, whatever you call it,
yep,
really was guiding me. And now, you're the first person that asked me this question, and I love it. It's a great question. It's so divine that it's springtime.
Yes, that
We're
too.
awakening. We're all rebirthing. It's all happening, that we're moving forward. And I think it's actually perfect timing for people to read these, and for us to just continue our paths of what I call enlightenment. So,
Well,
bringing in that light, and actually remembering the light more than
yes.
anything else. Remembering that we are light, and continuing to remember and increase it. So, yeah.
And I think the point, one of the things I want to highlight right now is when you started this, I think I recall you saying you didn't know it was going to be a trilogy. Right? Okay. Right. So that's kind of that, being in that experience of, wow, look at the divine timing that is so clear as day right now in this moment, the perfect timing of it all coming together. And you don't always know that when you're first starting the journey. But you said yes to it. So do you want to speak to that? When you started this and you didn't know how things were going to evolve and come forth today?
Yeah, I love what you just said, saying yes, because I think we all have soul callings. We all have opportunities that we have a choice to step into. This was a big choice for me. I was really exposing myself and being very vulnerable, especially in my first book. I talk about things that people were not talking about, things like past lives and what I had learned for myself, my darkest moments, and how I came out of it, and how I felt during those very dark moments of my life. So, yeah, you have to first say yes.
Yeah,
You have to step into it, and then it unfolds. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. And we don't always know what we're in. And we have to, well, I know the word trust always comes up for all of us. We have to trust, but we also have to just continue to move forward when our soul calls that movement, for that movement. And I just, yes, I'm courageous, but we all can be. And I really believe that when you feel something, and even though you're not sure of it, and you're afraid of it, sometimes you just have to step into it, and magical things happen when you do.
I love that you said the word courage, because that is absolutely a piece of being a transformational leader. Being a leader in any space, it takes that courage to be vulnerable, to showcase these other parts of you. And I can totally relate to the first book I was in was an anthology, and I shared some of my deepest, heaviest times in life, and I was freaking out too. So I totally get what you're saying. And it is so liberating when you do that. Would you agree with that? Just so liberating when you finally do it and you go, oh my gosh, I'm still alive. I can still do this. It's okay. And then
Yeah.
move forward to the next thing.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see, we have to do what's right for us, even
Yes.
with the people around you maybe questioning you, or saying things that they don't know where you're coming from or understand.
I love you right now, Andrea.
Stepping out is very courageous. It is for
Yes,
anybody, because not everybody around you agrees with you. Sometimes when you're going through a really big awakening, people around you think you're a little, off, and
yeah,
to step into that and just say, this is me. This is who I am. This is my path, and this was my journey. And whether you believe it or not, that's okay. This is who I
absolutely.
am. And yeah, it is a challenge to do so. But when you do so, you do you're moving into your light.
Yeah,
Really.
absolutely, absolutely. I love it. I do want to take a look at our live chat here because we have a lot of people saying hello, and so want to quickly give them a shout out. Hello to Facebook user who's with us today, and thank you so much, Helene. Helene's Helene, you are so complimentative. Thank you. And we have Joanne who is with us, and Betty who is saying hello, beautiful souls. And what do we have here? Amet is with us. Amet, thank you so much for being with us today. And let me quickly see if we have any other additional comments. So you guys are all being so friendly to each other. Carolyn is also with us today. Good to see you, Carolyn. So Andrea, okay, so I asked Andrea, what does letting your light shine mean to her? And Andrea, I love your comment, and I have to actually showcase it on the screen in two pieces. So here we go. Andrea said, letting your light shine is being the best and most authentic version of yourself, and then sharing your light with other people, animals, and nature on this planet. It is acknowledging your imperfections and still loving yourself and others with your heart and soul. Andrea, do you want to elaborate on that or say anything else about that quote?
I don't know whether there's a lot to elaborate on it.
Yeah, okay. I think it speaks to what you've already been saying too, is a form of being, in your ability to choose to say yes and be vulnerable and courageous to the things that are speaking to you. I mean, to me, that's also a form of self-love, is what you were just touching on.
Yes. And honestly, what I've learned in my lifetime is that it's the more love you have for yourself and acceptance of yourself and all your imperfections and your humanness, the more you can share that love and that light. And so that's something that has been part of my journey along the way, because I had a very critical mind, honestly. I did. And that was part of what was happening with me. I had some anxiety and depression along the way. And I think a lot of it was that critical, judgmental part of myself that I had to really learn to love and learn to accept of basically who I am. And that has given me, it's been a process, and it's a baby step process. Right. It's not just a snap your finger overnight. But because I've learned to really love myself, now I really think I spread my light to others. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I love how your book series is the me, the you, and the we, because that also is showcasing how it all starts with the individual, the inside, before we can move on to a much broader external perspective. And
well, exactly. And that's the whole thing, is that it's really, I teach, and so do you, both of us teach people how to raise their light, and how the patterns and the wounds and the trauma that has been there, and how to, how to overcome those things and be more, in love with yourself. And
yeah. Andrea, what inspires you?
What inspires me? The first thing that comes to mind is nature. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I think sometimes we have separated ourselves from it. And truly, that's what we are. We are part of it. And when I go out on hikes, when I go out in just my backyard, or in the wildflowers now in spring with the trees, I get this sense of oneness, and I get this sense of the bigger picture. And my day-to-day problems and my day-to-day challenges just don't seem as big, because we get wrapped up in that day-to-day stuff. Yeah. And in relationship stuff. And when we just go out in nature. For me, that's what inspires me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's awesome that you brought that up, because for anybody who really can resonate with being in that space of, I'm choosing to say yes to me and be courageous and be vulnerable and do things that other people may not understand. And then you may have a sense of feeling isolated, and right. And like you don't quite have that connection or oneness with other people as you are in the process of transforming. And I see nature as a fantastic way to help fill in that gap, to help remind you, wait a second, no, you are part of something much, much bigger than you. And nature can really speak to that. And I want to say feed the soul if you're in a transitional space like that. So I love that you brought up nature.
Yeah, that's just the first thing that came to mind when you said what inspires you. It's funny because, I have people in my life that inspire me. You inspire me, Kim.
You inspire me, Andrea.
Thank you. And yeah, I think, music inspires me. Reading great books inspire me. Seeing wonderful entertainment, movies with good messages inspires me. And writing, actually, my own writing, I actually believe I'm a channel. And so when it comes through me, I'm so inspired. I'm inspired by the spirit of the world. I'm inspired by my spirit guides and not just mine, ours. Yeah, that really inspires me. When I start writing and I'm a little lost and I ask for help from spirit, and then it comes through me and it's on paper and I'm in awe. So, yeah.
And I think the reason why that question came to mind, because I haven't asked anyone that in a while, is because looking to what inspires us can also bring in elements of light if we aren't readily maybe feeling it or experiencing it, and kind of help us get through those dark times too. So I think that's why that question came up right now.
Yeah. I know many people now, which I think is so wonderful, are really getting into prayer and meditation and really doing our best to connect. Sometimes it's in the most auspicious moments that we connect. And, like I write in one of my books, we don't have to sit and try to meditate for a long time so that the messages come through. It gets a little foreboding sometimes. Sometimes it's just like what I said about being in nature, just letting go of all the stuff that's in our daily lives and finding a quiet place, putting our feet on the ground in the grass, or
Was meditation easy for you when you first started? For me, it wasn't. Yeah,
no.
but today it's completely different. Yeah,
It's easier for me now to get a quiet mind. It took me a long time. That's also another process. But my mind is definitely quieter than it used to be. But no, meditation was not an easy thing for me many years ago. And like I said, I don't sit for a long, long time. Some people can and do. For me, if I just do a quick little close my eyes, say what I need to say to myself or to what I call my spirit guides, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, that's good for me a lot of times. So
awesome. Well, Andrea, so something I like to do is I like to pull cards to just enhance today's conversation and see what other messages might want to come through. And for anybody who's joining for the first time today, this is something we do every Inspirational Message Monday. So Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We do a lot more of this. But Andrea, will you help me choose which deck to pull a card from? So I pulled 3 decks. I've got Cheryl Richardson's Self-Care Cards deck. I've got Louise Hay's How to Love Yourself, and I've got Brendan Burchard's The Motivation Manifesto cards. Which one would you like me to pull from?
Oh boy. I'm a big fan of Louise Hay. I like them all. They're all great. So why don't we do that? That would be
I love
a
it.
good one, I think.
Fantastic. I agree. So, okay. So I'm just going to do some light shuffling here, and then we're going to see what added messages want to come through. Okay, Andrea. So when you are ready, go ahead and say stop, and whatever's on top is the message
Okay. Stop.
Okay, so one kind of like fell right out right then. So,
of course.
So we have here, it says, I rejoice in my creative energy. And the back says, fun, uplifting ideas flow through my consciousness, and I follow through on the ideas received, bringing them into full manifestation. Andrea, this is so speaking to what you were just saying about channeling your books.
You have no idea. I wrote down before we got on this call, I wrote, reconnect to your divine essence, your divine truth. And I wrote, let's do it with fun. And I said, let's not be so serious. Let's lighten up, which is funny. I literally wrote that down. I'm looking at it right now on my piece of paper. So, of course, that card fell out.
Of course, that card fell out. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
And the creative part. Oh, wow. You know, everything, if I could just say one thing real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Everything is a co-creation. Everything. We are co-creators. That's what we are. And yeah, writing these books, being on your show, everything we do is co-creating with the divine source and with ourselves and with each other. Yeah. So we also have to have enjoyment and fun doing it. If we're too serious all the time, and she used that card said the word fun, and you don't see that very often on cards.
You don't. Exactly. That's why I was like, oh, I wonder if this is going to even resonate with her. But yeah. I've learned to trust. So clearly that was the one. Yeah. So Andrea, with that said, I want to ask you a question that I was asking my guests in last year's Rise and Shine series. One of the questions that's coming to mind is, so you've been on this journey of saying yes, of being in that creative mode, having fun, and really allowing that energy to flow through you. Coming out of the dark into the light, what would be if you had to do a power pose today to showcase how you feel today, being your light-filled self, what would that look like for you today?
Say that again,
A power pose.
A power pose? You mean like a pose?
A pose, yeah.
Whoa, I guess it would be strength.
Okay.
Something like this, or... but also mixed with namaste, if that makes sense. I think that, that would be kind of a mixture of both poses, because it's finding the peace and the calmness in myself has really made a difference in my life. And that's really what I want to continuously help people find. Yes. Is more peace and calm within themselves. And it does take strength to be on this path. It does. And I honor and I respect everyone that steps into self-help, self-development, wanting to make transformational choices and decisions. So I guess it's a little bit, this and a little bit this.
I see that you're bringing it inward.
Inward, exactly. That's perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. And it's both. It's bringing it inward to then emerge it outward.
Bring it back out. Yeah, it's really good, Kim. You got it.
We look like we're doing a workout.
We do. I could use a workout today. So My new workout.
Exercising that inner peace muscle, that inner work muscle, and I'm right there with you, honoring everybody who chooses to say yes and do the work. It's easy. It's easy. I could look at this different ways, but it's easy to not. It's easy to say no and just do what's easy. And yet at some point that may become very, very hard, which brings us to, okay, let's say yes now. And you know what? I respect everybody. Whatever they decide to choose for themselves is all good. It's up to them. So with that, Andrea, you have a website and it is andreamichal.com. And for our podcast listeners, I do want to spell that. That is ANDREAM as in Mary, ICHAL.com, AndreaMichal.com. And what is the best way for people is that the best way for people to connect with you after today's show?
Yeah, that's great. Everything's on there. All my information. You can, sign up to be on my email list. I would love to meet and, connect with more people. So sure, any time, just go on my website and take a look.
Awesome. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for being here today. It was fun to have you here. It was awesome to share your trilogy series. I'm going to showcase those photos one more time. If you have tuned in late to today's show, Andrea is the author of Encounter the Light, Beacon of Light, and Tribe of Light. And is Tribe of Light already out?
They're all out. They're all on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
And actually, my website for the books, if you wanted to go to it, is also encounterthelight.com.
Okay.
So, and they're all on there too.
Okay.
Yeah, they're available.
Awesome. Well, to everybody who's with us today, I want to remind you that you are light, that you are amazing. By being yourself, you naturally, organically shine. And when we have a world filled with light, I call that heaven on earth. And I would love to have you participate in the Let Your Light Shine movement if it resonates with you. So if you haven't yet, see the link on the screen. It's a bit.ly link for Let Your Light Shine movement. Definitely check it out. Join the Let Your Light Shine movement. We'd love to celebrate you. You acknowledging your light is inspiring and empowering to those around you. So you have an open invitation to join. And Andrea, I would love to have you join as well if it resonates with you.
Yeah, of course I will. Of course.
Awesome. Thank you to everyone who's been with us today. Remember that every day is always a new day. At the start of the show, we talked about new beginnings, and those endings are also new beginnings. Be easy on yourself. Have an amazing day. Andrea, thank you so much for being my guest today. It was wonderful having you here.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Stay right there, Andrea, and we'll see you all again on Monday for another Inspirational Message Monday. Bye, everybody.